Hi, this is Daniel DiTuro. In 2012, I published a video about salt and sodium, and the debate about how much sodium should be in the American diet has continued to this day. Some nutrition and diet experts recommend Americans limit their sodium intake, while others tell Americans to eat a high sodium diet. Both recommendations are overly simplistic, since the United States is not a homogeneous society. There's no disagreement that the main source of sodium in the American diet is salt, and all salt is about 40% sodium. Sodium is an essential mineral that regulates the body's fluid balance and is needed for electrical nerve impulses and muscle function. All varieties of salt have the same amount of sodium by weight, but larger grain kosher and sea salt has less sodium by volume. That means using 1 teaspoon of coarse grain sea salt provides about 1/3 the sodium of table salt, because you're adding less salt by weight. But some nutrition facts labels can be misleading. In this example of sea salt versus table salt, both have the same amount of salt by volume, 1/4 teaspoon. But this brand of coarse sea salt says the weight is the same as fine grain table salt. While it's true that 1.5 grams of either salt has 590 milligrams of sodium, it takes more than 1/4 teaspoon of coarse sea salt to equal 1/4 teaspoon of table salt. About 75% of the sodium in the American diet comes from added sodium in prepared and restaurant foods. The remaining 25% comes from added salt and naturally occurring sodium in foods. For example, 1 cup of milk has about 125 milligrams of sodium. There are other sources of sodium besides salt, like monosodium glutamate added to many prepared and oriental foods, and baking powder added to pancakes, biscuits, cookies, cakes, and muffins. This microwavable frozen pizza-like product gives the amount of sodium for 1 or 2 servings, as if most Americans will eat only 1/2 of this pizza. What are the sources of sodium? There's salt from the mozzarella and pepperoni. The pepperoni also has sodium nitrite, among other things. The pizza topping has added salt and sodium phosphate. Finally, there's a little more salt because Americans just can't get enough. When the first frozen dinners were sold in 1952, they retailed for about $1, almost $9 in 2016 dollars. Today, Americans are buying the same meal for about half the price. About 30% of the cost is for the food. Salt and other ingredients containing sodium are added to most prepared foods to flavor inexpensive, low-quality ingredients. Salt also acts as a preservative to extend shelf life. Current U.S. dietary guidelines, and I want to emphasize the fact that these are guidelines only, recommend adults 50 and younger consume no more than 2,300 milligrams of added sodium per day, unless they have high blood pressure. Adults under 50 with high blood pressure and adults over 50 and African Americans should limit added sodium intake to 1,500 milligrams per day. Average sodium consumption in the United States is 3,400 milligrams per day, and most is from prepared and restaurant foods. Some Americans consume between 6,000 to 12,000 milligrams of sodium per day. That's equivalent to consuming the salt in this shaker every 1.5 to 3 days. Sodium in prepared and restaurant foods quickly add up. This breakfast burrito provides 1,700 milligrams of sodium. A steak sandwich with fried potatoes and ketchup has about 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Finish the day with a pasta dinner, including salad and bread, adds another 2,500 milligrams of sodium. The grand total, excluding snacks, is over 6,000 milligrams of sodium. But is all that sodium really bad for you? If you eat a high sodium, low potassium diet, and you're sodium sensitive, your kidneys may not be able to remove the excess sodium in your bloodstream. Excess sodium can retain water that can increase blood volume and blood pressure. Some studies show excess sodium may damage the heart and kidneys without increasing blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure due to a high sodium diet, you can try lifestyle changes by reducing added sodium from prepared and restaurant foods and eating more potassium-rich foods. The alternative is taking blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. Some diet plans and diet experts recommend using sea salt instead of refined table salt. They claim sea salt is more natural, and it doesn't contain any additives. I've already discussed that switching to sea salt doesn't automatically reduce the amount of sodium in your diet. As you can see from this chemical analysis, sea salt is 99.7% sodium chloride. You must eat 2 kilograms, 2.2 pounds of sea salt to get 2 milligrams of iron and 100 milligrams of potassium, whether it's table salt, kosher salt, or sea salt. The standard American diet is high in salt and sodium. If you eat a high sodium diet, reducing sodium in your diet could reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching.